Hi and welcome or welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. Today I am here with my anticipated releases for the next couple of months. So we're going to look through June, July, August and September, have a list of about 10 or 12 anticipated releases for you that span a few different genres I am very excited for, and we are going to go in order. So we're going to start with June, and the first book, which is released on June 1st in the UK in paperback, weirdly not released until June 30th in hardback in the UK. Not sure if the release date differs around the world and that might be why, but this is published on the 1st of June in the UK and it's Girls Like Girls by Hayley Kiyoko. And I am so excited for this one. I only found out about it a couple of months ago. I can't remember how. I stumbled across it on Waterstones, I think. And this is based on the song Girls Like Girls by Hayley Kiyoko, which I think is amazing. I really love that song. I've loved it for a long time. And when you see the cover, which I should put here, if you've watched the music video, which I think was also gone viral, that music video, it's very recognisable as being a screenshot from the video, which I love the video, love the song, and I'm very excited to read this one. It's only a short synopsis. It's not that you're not like other girls, it's just that you've never met a girl like you, and then you do. You meet her and suddenly the songs make sense. It's summertime and 7-year-old Coley is alone again. Forced to move to the middle of nowhere in Oregon after losing her mother, she is in no position to risk her already fragile heart. But when she meets Sonia, the attraction is immediate. Coley worries she isn't worthy of love. Up until now, everyone she's loved has left her, and Sonia's never been with a girl before. What if by opening her heart, Coley's risking it all? I'm so excited to read a book that's about that song. It's based on that song. I just think it's such a cool concept. I love that Hayley Kiyoko has written herself. I think that's amazing. And I really love the cover too, so cannot wait for that one. A couple of these books I do have physical copies of already from the publishers, and one of those is Rhubarb Lemonade by Oscar Kroon, and this has been translated from Swedish, I believe, by AA Prime. And I am very much looking forward to reading this book. And this one was sent to me by the publisher, so thank you very much to Hotkey. I am really looking forward to this one. It turned up and it's so short, which I really didn't expect. And this one is released on June 8th in the UK. And the synopsis for this one says, it's hot out on the island, but Vinga is happy to be spending summer with Grandpa, far from her problems at home. Drinking rhubarb lemonade under the lilac tree, picnicking on the beach and watching the sunset from her cliff, she's free to be herself. But then Ruth turns up. In her black vest and big black hat, Vinga feels shy. The two girls are opposites. Confident Ruth hates the island and misses her friends, but spending time together they form an unexpected friendship, and for the first time Vinga tastes the delicious feeling of someone liking you back. And Hotkey do this thing where they say what's in it, and it's got like a little pie chart, and Courtney read this out last night to me, and the bottom one is stranded whale, which I love. It's sweltering heat, summer island, first kiss, and stranded whale makes up a very small part of this little pie chart thing. I've loved that Hotkey have done this for a long time. I think it's really cool just to give you a snippet of what's actually in the book itself, and very excited to read this. I think it'll be a nice one to read just like in a day because it's so short as well. It's like 200 pages long. Could be a really nice one to just make my way through on a hot summer's day. The next book on this list comes out on the 8th of June as well, and it's The Do's and Donuts of Love by Adiba Jaigoda. I am so excited for this. I've read The Henna Wars and I've read Honey and She's Guide to Fake Dating by this author, and The Do's and Donuts of Love is about baking and I cannot wait. It just sounds like it's amazing. My friend B has already read this, I believe, as well, and they really loved it as well, so that's just made me even more excited. This says it's following Shireen Malik, who is still reeling from her breakup with her ex-girlfriend Chris. Then she receives the news that she's been accepted as a contestant on a new televised baking competition. This is Shireen's dream come true. Winning will not only mean prize money, but it'll also mean much needed attention to You Drive Me Glazy That is an amazing name. Her parents' beloved donut shop. Things get complicated though because Chris is also a contestant. Then there's the very outgoing Neve, a fellow contestant who is becoming fast friends with Shireen. Things are heating up between them and not just in the kitchen. But as the competition intensifies, Shireen will have to ignore all these factors and more, including potential sabotage if she wants a sweet victory. This sounds like it's going to be so fun. As a baking show, what's not to love? I am very excited for it. The next one comes out on the 13th of June and it's Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I could not do this list without including Ali Hazelwood's newest release. I am so excited to read another book by her. I've read The Love Hypothesis, I've read Love on the Brain, I've read some of Loath to Love You, I've read one of the short stories in it so far, and I just always love what she writes and I'm very excited for this. I won't be getting it for a while because I will be getting the Illumicrate box that they'll do, the mini box for it, which I can't remember when it releases, but I am very much looking forward to it. So this one is following two rival physicists who collide in a vortex of academic feuds and fake dating shenanigans in this delightfully STEMinist rom-com. The many lives of theoretical physicist Elise Hanaway have finally caught up with her. By day, she's an adjunct professor, toiling away at grading labs and teaching thermodynamics, that took me a while, in the hopes of landing tenure. By other day, Elise makes up for her non-existent paycheck by offering her services as a fake girlfriend, tapping into her expertly honed people-pleasing skills to embody whichever version of herself the client needs. Honestly, it's a pretty sweet gig, until her carefully constructed Elise verse comes crashing down. Because Jack Smith, the annoyingly attractive, arrogant older brother of her favourite client, turns out to be the cold-hearted experimental physicist who ruined her mentor's career and undermined the reputation of theorists everywhere. And he's the same Jack Smith who rules over the physics department at MIT, standing right between Elise and her dream job. She's prepared for all-out war of scholarly sabotage, but those long, penetrating looks, not having to be anything other than her true self when she's with him, will falling into an experimentalist's orbit finally tempt her to put her most guarded theories on love into practice. I feel like the more I read of Ali Hazelwood, the more predictable it's going to get, but honestly, sometimes I just want that from a book and I don't really care. Then we have You Are Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Bayron, and this one is released on June 20th. And this is the first horror book from the author of Cinderella is Dead, This Poison Heart, and This Wicked Fate. This one is following Charity Curtis, who has a summer job of her dreams playing the final girl at Camp Mirror Lake. Guests paid to be scared in this full-contact terror game as Charity and her summer crew recreate scenes from the classic slasher film The Curse of Camp Mirror Lake. The more realistic the fear, the better for business. But on the last weekend of the season, Charity's co-workers begin disappearing, and when one ends up dead, Charity's role as the final girl becomes all too real. If Charity and her girlfriend Bessie hope to survive the night, they'll need to figure out who the killer is. But as they unravel the bloody history of the real Mirror Lake, Charity discovers there may be more to the story than ever suspected. Are you ready to enter Camp Mirror Lake? This sounds like it could be a fun summer read, a bit different to reading like romance throughout the summer. Throw in a horror book as well. It's a YA horror, I believe, and I am looking forward to seeing what this author has to bring to the horror genre. Then we skip basically an entire month and we go to July 18th, and it's Clementine and Danny Save the World and Each Other. I think that's the same release for the UK and the US, but I'm not 100% sure when it's out. It may be a little bit later in the UK, I'm not gonna lie. This one is from Harper, so thank you so much to Harper for sending me this one. And the first line of the synopsis, or at least the back cover, says, "You've Got Mail" gets a fresh YA twist in this irresistible rom-com that spotlights the power of activism and community, organising in the face of gentrification. Perfect for fans of Tweet You and Yes, No, Maybe So. I loved Yes, No, Maybe So. That's so exciting. I honestly wanted this for the cover. I love the cover. Definitely also remember it being marketed as Evil Mail, so I definitely wanted to pick it up. This says Clementine Chan believes in the power of the written word. Under the pseudonym Hibiscus, she runs a popular blog reviewing tea shops and discussing larger issues within her Chinatown community. She has a loyal, kind following, save for this one sour grape named Boba Boy 888. Danny Mock is allergic to change, and the gentrification sweeping into Chinatown breaks his heart. He channels his frustration into his internet alter ego. Can you guess who it is? It's Boba Boy 888, bickering with the local blogger Hibiscus over all things Chinatown and tea. When a major corporation reveals plans that threaten to shut down Danny's family-beloved tea shop, Clementine and Danny find themselves working together in real life to save this community they both love. But as they fall hard for this cause and each other, they have no clue that their online personas have been fighting for years. When the truth comes to light, can Danny and Clementine still find their happily ever after? This sounds like so much fun, and as I said, I love this cover, and I feel like now I've read the full synopsis, I cannot wait to pick it up. Then I honestly found nothing in August that was coming out that I was excited for. I'm sure I'm just missing something or not looking at the right lists. But the next one is September 12th, and it's A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. Although I didn't love The Ballad of Never After as much as I loved the other books in the series, or series including Caraval as well, I am obviously still excited for A Curse for True Love, and I most likely will reread Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After before I read this one, just to make sure I get the most enjoyment from it. I will read you the short synopsis for Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is the first book in this trilogy. Please be aware it is a spin-off trilogy from Caraval. I would highly recommend reading Caraval before you read this. You will spoil things for Caraval if you read this before. However, it's completely up to you. You can read this as a standalone series. You don't have to read Caraval first. But this is following Evangeline Fox, who was raised in her beloved father's curiosity shop. I feel like every single synopsis has had the word beloved in it today, which is really weird. But anyway, where she grew up on legends about immortals like the tragic Prince of Hearts. She knows his powers are mythic, his kiss is worth dying for, and that bargains with him rarely end well. But then Evangeline learns that the love of her life is about to marry another. She becomes desperate enough to offer the Prince of Hearts whatever he wants in exchange for his help to stop the wedding. The prince only asks for 3 kisses. But after Evangeline's first promised kiss, she learns that the Prince of Hearts wants far more from her than she'd pledged. Andy has plans for Evangeline that will either end in the gracious happily ever after or the most exquisite tragedy. Loved the first book a lot, did not enjoy The Ballad of Never After as much, but I did listen to the paperback, so I might be the problem, not the book. I listened to the paperback, I listened to the audiobook. Very sorry, my brain. It's evidently not working. But yeah, I listened to the audiobook, so it may be me that's the problem, which is why I'd like to reread them and then read this one as well, so I'm reading all of them in one go. Maybe I'll enjoy it a bit more. Then September 21st brings the release of Upon a Frosted Star by M.A. Kuznia, and this is the next standalone release for this author, who is the author of Midnight in Everwood, which I really enjoyed, and that's a Nutcracker retelling. This is a retelling of Swan Lake, I believe, which makes sense considering there's a swan on a lake on the cover. This is a proof copy, as you can tell, so thank you so much to the publisher HQ for sending one my way. And HQ is under HarperCollins, so thank you to our HarperCollins, as always, for sending this one my way. This front cover says the parties always started the same way, when the nights deepened, swallowing daylight by the hour, when winter whispered its frozen song across the land, when the promise of snow could be tasted in the air. Parties were a thing of legend and sometimes obsession. And the more fuller synopsis says the invitations all always arrive the same way, without warning, appearing around the city on the first snowfall of the year, simply inscribed with "Tonight." When struggling artist Forster finds an invitation, he's bewitched by the magic of the evening, swept up in the glamour of this notorious annual party, and intrigued as to who is behind them. Determined to find out more about this mysterious host, Forster discovers an abandoned manor silent with secrets and a cursed woman who is desperate to be set free. I've put this down as the 21st of September. This says the 28th, so around then, around the end of September, that this one is being released. And I probably will save this for later in the year when it's more of a, because it's more of a wintry read. I would like to read it when it's a bit cooler, but I am looking forward to reading another of Emma Kusnia's books. The next one has a release date of the 26th of September, and it's The Fragile Threads of Power by V. Schwab. When I was thinking about what is coming out for the rest of the year, I remembered that The Fragile Threads of Power is coming out quite soon and exists. So I had to include it on this list because V. Schwab is one of my favourite authors, if not my favourite author. So this is a spin-off trilogy to the Shades of Magic trilogy, the Dark Shade of Magic trilogy, and it's following different characters, I believe. So I'm not sure how similar this is to the Once Upon a Broken Heart thing. I don't know if you have to read Dark Shade of Magic beforehand. I presume it will be beneficial if you did. But this one is set in the same universe, and it's 7 years after. The synopsis does kind of spoil the ending of A Dark Shade of Magic, so if you haven't read it yet, skip to this timestamp if you don't want to be spoiled for the end of Dark Shade of Magic. But the synopsis says, 7 years have passed since the doors between the worlds are sealed. 7 years since Cal, Lila and Holland stood against Ossaran, a desperate battle that saved the worlds of Red, Grey and White London. 7 years since Cal's magic was shattered and Holland lost his life. Now, Rymaresh rules Red London with his new family, his queen Nadia, their daughter Ren and his consort Alucard. But his city boils with conspiracy and rebellion, fueled by rumours he is causing magic to fade from the world. Now Kasika, a child Antari, sits on the throne of White London. The new queen leads her people in new rituals of sacrifice and blood in devotion to the altar of Holland Bossick. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that really wrong or any of these names. Summoning vast powers she may not be able to control. Now Lila and Cal, living free on the waves, are charged by the captain of the floating market to retrieve an immensely powerful artefact stolen by secretive forces. Now Tess, a young woman with a knack for fixing broken things, is thrust into the affairs of the Antari and kings, traitors and thieves, and only her unique power can weave the threads of power together. A triumphant return to the world of the Shades of Magic, the Fragile Threads of Power continues the story of fan-favourite characters Cal, Lila, Rye and Alucard, and introduces a new generation of magic shadows and embers in the dark. I obviously do really love A Dark Shade of Magic. It's definitely not my favourite V. Schwab book, and it's probably my least favourite V. Schwab book, I'm not gonna lie. I do still really enjoy them though, and I am looking forward to continuing on in this universe and finding new stories in this universe. I think they are really, really good, so I just still had to include it on this list. And the penultimate book on this list is The Wakeup Call by Beth O'Leary. Feels bad including a Beth O'Leary book on here when I haven't even read The No-Show or The Switch or The Road Trip. I've literally only read The Flat Share, but I know that when I finally get around to reading these, I am still going to really enjoy them. So I thought I would include this one, and it comes out on the 26th of September. And it's following two sworn enemies, a failing hotel and one chance to save the season. It's the busiest season of the year, and Forest Manor Hotel is quite literally falling apart. Izzy and Lucas are given the same shift on the hotel's front desk, and they have no choice but to put their differences aside and see it through. The hotel won't stay afloat beyond Christmas without some sort of miracle, but when Izzy returns a guest's lost wedding ring, the reward convinces management this might be the way to fix everything. With 4 rings still sitting in lost property, the race is on for Izzy and Lucas to save their beloved hotel. It's not another one. Why is there another synopsis that says beloved in it? When does it get weird? Anyway, they're trying to save their beloved hotel and their jobs. As their bitter rivalry turns into something much more complicated, Izzy and Lucas begin to wonder if there's more at stake here than the hotel's future. Can the two of them make it through the season with their hearts intact? That sounds really fun, to be honest, and I am really excited to have it, even though I still need to read literally all of Beth O'Leary's books. It still sounds like it's going to be really good. And the last book on this list is the only middle grade on here, and it's Finding Bear by Hannah Gold. And it's the sequel to The Last Bear, obviously also by Hannah Gold. So I will read you the short synopsis of the first book. This is following April and her father as they move to a remote island because of scientific research. It's a remote Arctic island and they move there for 6 months. On one endless summer night, April meets a polar bear. There is not meant to be any polar bears left on this island that they are living on, but April has met one. He is starving, lonely, and a long way from home. She is determined to save him and starts the most important journey of her life. It's so moving, it's so lovely, it's such a sweet book, and I am very excited to continue with the story in Finding Bear. And Finding Bear is released on the 28th of September. Anyway, that is all of the books I had on my list, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you are excited for in the next couple of months, because I definitely think I should be adding more to my TBR and to my upcoming releases lists, so I'm really looking forward to those, and hopefully I will see you in another video. Bye!